Men over 60 have an advantage in attraction that most completely waste. While younger men are chasing, competing, and exhausting themselves, men in their 60s who understand this one thing become magnets for female attention. And I'm not just talking about women their age. Here's what nobody tells you about getting older as a man. If you do it right, your 60s can be the most attractive decade of your life. Not despite your age, but because of it. You have something younger men can't fake, and most older men throw it away through neglect and resignation. Society sells you the lie that male attractiveness peaks in your 20s and it's downhill from there. Complete nonsense. Male attraction operates on completely different rules than female attraction. While women's value in the dating market is heavily tied to youth, men's value is tied to something that only increases with age when cultivated properly. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what men over 60 do that makes women unable to resist them, why most men waste this advantage, and how to position yourself as the rare man who gets more attractive as he ages instead of less. This isn't about pretending to be younger. It's about leveraging what age actually gives you. Pay attention. The single most attractive quality men over 60 can possess is complete self-possession. Not arrogance. Not trying to prove anything. Just genuine comfort with who you are and total indifference to others' opinions. By 60, you've lived enough to know yourself thoroughly. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, your preferences. You're not still figuring out your identity. You're not performing for approval. You simply are who you are without apology or adjustment. This self-possession creates a magnetic presence that younger men can't replicate. A 25-year-old might perform confidence, but it's hollow because he hasn't earned it through experience. A 60-year-old who's done the inner work radiates authentic confidence that's felt immediately. Women respond powerfully to this because genuine self-possession is incredibly rare. Most people never achieve it. They spend entire lives adjusting themselves based on circumstances and opinions. The man who's completely at peace with himself stands out dramatically. This manifests in specific behaviors. You don't seek validation through conversation. You don't need to be the center of attention. You don't adjust your opinions to be liked. You don't explain or justify your choices. You exist comfortably in your own frame regardless of social pressure. The key word is genuine. This can't be performed. Women's psychological radars detect the difference between performed confidence and authentic self-possession instantly. The performance feels try-hard. The genuine article feels like gravity. Most men over 60 waste this advantage by either becoming bitter and checked out or desperately trying to seem younger and relevant. Both destroy the natural power that comes from being genuinely comfortable at 60. The man who embraces being 60, who's comfortable with his age and stage of life, who operates from authentic self-knowledge rather than trying to be something he's not, becomes incredibly attractive across age ranges. Men over 60 have decades of experience that create wisdom younger men can't access, but only if you've actually learned from your experiences rather than just accumulating years. This wisdom manifests as perspective. You've seen economic cycles, relationship patterns, social trends, and life circumstances play out repeatedly. You understand what actually matters versus what seems important in the moment. This perspective is deeply attractive. Women, especially intelligent women, crave conversations with men who have genuine wisdom. Not lectures, not ego-driven storytelling, but actual insight that comes from lived experience and reflection. The 60-year-old man who can contextualize current situations with historical perspective, who can see patterns because he's lived through them before, who understands nuance because he's seen how things actually play out over decades, offers something younger men simply cannot. This creates intellectual attraction. Women aren't just physically drawn to you, they're mentally engaged. They want to hear your thoughts, understand your perspective, learn from your experience. This creates depth that superficial attraction never achieves. Most men over 60 waste this by either not developing wisdom from their experiences or by weaponizing it into boring lectures that demonstrate ego rather than insight. The wisdom that attracts is offered when relevant, not performed constantly to prove intelligence. The key is being genuinely interesting because you've cultivated understanding, not just experienced time. Experience without reflection is just repetition. Experience with reflection becomes wisdom that others want access to. Women of all ages are attracted to wisdom because it represents mastery of life itself. The man who's figured things out through decades of living and thinking carries himself differently than men still struggling to understand basic patterns. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus observed that it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. The man who has learned from his reactions, who has refined his responses over decades, who has developed the ability to see the bigger picture, offers a depth that younger men simply cannot provide. This is why women of all ages are drawn to men who have cultivated wisdom. It represents stability, insight, and the ability to navigate life's complexities with grace. By 60, if you've managed your life reasonably well, you have financial stability. This isn't about being wealthy, though that helps. It's about having your financial life handled without stress or desperation. This stability is profoundly attractive because it represents competence, planning, and the ability to provide comfort without strain. You're not scrambling. You're not stressed about money. You have your resources managed and your needs handled. The attraction isn't to money itself. It's to the peace and capability that financial stability provides. Women are biologically wired to assess resource security in potential partners. At 60, you either have it clearly established or you obviously don't. Most men over 60 either haven't achieved financial stability, which eliminates them from consideration by quality women, or they have it but present it wrong through either hiding it or flaunting it. Both approaches fail. The right approach is simple, presence of stability without making it a personality trait. Your financial peace shows through lack of stress, comfortable living situation, ability to enjoy experiences without penny pinching, and general comfort with your lifestyle. This becomes attractive when combined with lack of desperation. You're not trying to use resources to buy affection. You're not using money to compensate for lack of other qualities. You simply have your life handled, and that groundedness is magnetic. Women over 40 especially value this because they've dated enough broke or financially irresponsible men to recognize the rarity of genuine financial maturity. The man who has his resources managed without drama or ego about it stands out dramatically. The waste happens when men either fail to build financial stability by 60 or have it but present it desperately, trying to attract women through money rather than letting stability be one attractive quality among many. By 60, many men have achieved something younger men desperately want but can't access: time and freedom. Children are grown. Career pressure has often eased. You have more control over your schedule. This is a massive advantage in attraction. You're not rushing. You're not stressed about career advancement. You have space to actually enjoy life and relationships. This translates to relaxed, present energy that's incredibly appealing. A 35-year-old is often stressed about work, finances, and proving himself. A 60-year-old who's built a life where he can relax, travel, enjoy hobbies, and simply be present creates a different energy entirely. The relaxed, unhurried presence that comes from having your life handled is magnetic. You're not trying to fit connection into a packed schedule. You can be present with her without distraction. This creates space for genuine connection that younger men often can't provide because they're too busy stressing about everything else. The problem is many men over 60 have this time and freedom, but either don't know how to use it attractively or waste it on bitterness and stagnation. The man who uses his freedom to pursue interests, cultivate himself, travel, and live fully becomes interesting and attractive. The man who sits around complaining about how things used to be or watching TV alone becomes invisible. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned that life is not short, but we waste much of it. The man who wastes his freedom on bitterness is wasting the very advantage that age has given him. The man who uses his freedom to grow, explore, and expand becomes magnetic. He has stories to tell, experiences to share, and a life that others want to be part of. His time is valuable, not because he's busy, but because he's intentional. And women feel that intentionality. This might be the most valuable quality men over 60 can possess. Emotional maturity means you've stopped reacting impulsively. You can handle conflict without losing your temper. You can be vulnerable without feeling weak. You can tolerate uncertainty without panicking. Younger men often struggle with emotional regulation. They get defensive, reactive, and insecure. A 60-year-old who's achieved genuine emotional maturity is rare and incredibly attractive. Women of all ages are exhausted by men who can't handle their own emotions. A man who can stay grounded, who can listen without getting defensive, who can hold space for her feelings without collapsing, who can have difficult conversations without turning them into drama. This is a man who stands out dramatically. The emotional maturity that comes with age, when cultivated, makes you a safe partner in a way that younger men rarely are. This manifests as presence, not performance. You don't try to impress with emotional displays. You simply are. You can be calm when she's stressed. You can listen without needing to fix. You can respond rather than react. This creates deep attraction because it provides something most women never get from partners: emotional safety. Emotional safety is the foundation of genuine intimacy. Without it, attraction never reaches its full potential. With it, she can fully relax into connection. The sad reality is most men over 60 haven't developed this maturity. They're still emotionally reactive, just with more years of practice. The rare man who's done the inner work, who's achieved genuine emotional stability and maturity, becomes incredibly attractive across age ranges. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus understood that true freedom comes from mastering one's own mind. A man who has mastered his emotions, who is not ruled by them, who can respond with clarity rather than react with impulse. This is a man who possesses a rare and valuable form of strength, and women are drawn to that strength because it promises safety, stability, and a partnership that can weather any storm. Men over 60 have advantages younger men can't access: genuine self-possession earned through decades, wisdom from experience, financial stability, time and freedom, emotional maturity. Most men waste these advantages through bitterness, resignation, desperate attempts to seem younger, or failure to develop the qualities that make age powerful. The man who embraces being 60, who's cultivated self-knowledge and wisdom, who maintains vitality without vanity, who has his life handled and his time free, who's achieved genuine emotional maturity, becomes magnetic to women across age ranges. This isn't about pretending to be younger. It's about leveraging what age gives you when you've lived consciously. The power of 60 is being completely yourself, completely comfortable, completely capable. Women can't resist this because it's rare. Most men never achieve self-possession. Most don't cultivate wisdom. Most don't maintain vitality. Most don't achieve emotional maturity. The man who does becomes exceptionally attractive, regardless of age. Your 60s can be your most attractive decade if you understand what actually creates value. Stop trying to compete with younger men on their terms. Win on the terms only age and experience can provide. The world is full of desperate 30-year-olds and bitter 60-year-olds. Be the rare man who's genuinely comfortable, genuinely capable, genuinely himself at 60. That's irresistible. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius observed that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A man who thinks of himself as diminished by age will become diminished. A man who thinks of himself as enhanced by experience will become enhanced. The choice is yours. You can be the bitter man who resents the passing of time, or you can be the wise man who understands that time has given him something priceless: the freedom to be completely himself. Choose wisely. Your 60s are not your decline. They are your prime, but only if you claim them.